What if I told you that everything you've ever wanted is within reach? What if the thing holding you back isn't the economy, your job, or the people around you? What if the greatest barrier standing between you and your dreams is you? Think about it. Every doubt, every hesitation, every fear you've ever had, those aren't the voices of the world. They're the whispers of your own mind, convincing you that you're not enough, that the life you want is only for other people, not for you. What if I told you that the only thing separating you from success, from happiness, from living the life you've always dreamed of, is your own willingness to fight the battle inside yourself? You've heard it all before, haven't you? You've heard people say you could do anything, but when it comes down to it, the hardest part isn't the external struggle, it's the battle within. The fear of failure, the second-guessing, the endless cycle of starting and stopping. It's easy to blame the world, to point fingers at circumstances, at bad luck, at the wrong timing. But here's the truth. You are your own biggest obstacle. It's not the world that tells you you can't do it. It's your own inner voice. The voice that says, you're not good enough, you're not ready, you'll never make it. But what if I told you that the people who've reached their dreams, the ones who've broken through the walls of their own minds, didn't have anything you don't? What if the difference was simply that they decided to push through the pain, the fear, the doubts, and keep going even when everything inside of them screamed to stop? Tonight, we dive into the real stories of people who faced their greatest enemy, themselves. People who fought the war within and won. These aren't just stories of success. These are stories of transformation, of individuals who were once trapped in their own self-imposed limitations, who dared to face the hardest fight of all, the fight against their own fears and insecurities. Their journeys will make you ask yourself, if they can do it, if they could overcome their own inner battles, why can't I? So, as you listen to these stories tonight, ask yourself, what's stopping me? And what will it take for me to break free from the limits I've set on myself? Because the only person who can stop you is you. This is the story of Sarah, a woman who dared to dream when the odds seemed stacked against her. Growing up in a small town where everyone knew your name and your family's history, Sarah was taught to be realistic. People around her were content with their daily routines, their jobs that paid the bills, and their safe, predictable lives. Success wasn't something talked about. Survival was. In this world, the idea of reaching beyond what you knew felt like a far-off fantasy, a story you read in books or saw on television, not something that could actually happen in real life. But Sarah, she wasn't like most people. Even from a young age, she was different. She had big dreams. She wanted more, and not in the sense of material wealth, but in the sense of creating a life that was meaningful, a life where she wasn't just surviving, but thriving. From an early age, Sarah learned that the world didn't offer many second chances. There was always a reason to settle for less. She saw it in her parents, who worked tirelessly just to make ends meet, never having the time or energy to pursue their own passions. And she saw it in her friends, who found comfort in routine and didn't rock the boat. Sarah knew that she couldn't live like this, not with the fire inside her, the desire to create something bigger than herself, to leave behind a legacy. But she didn't know how. She didn't know if she had the strength or the courage to chase after something that seemed so impossible. The first time Sarah tried to start her own business, she was full of hope. She had an idea that she believed in with every part of her. She poured hours of work into planning, researching, and setting up. She was determined to prove that a girl like her, from a town like hers, could succeed. But what she didn't expect was the wave of doubt and negativity that would come crashing down on her. When she shared her idea with friends and family, their responses were mixed. Some encouraged her, but many didn't. That's a nice idea, Sarah, but do you really think it'll work? You're trying to do something that no one else in this town has done before. It's too risky. She heard it again and again, like a constant drumbeat in her mind. You can't do it. It's not for you. But she refused to give up. At least, not at first. As she launched her business, the challenges started piling up. She encountered one setback after another. The website didn't function as expected. The product launch flopped, and she was hit with unexpected costs. Every time she thought she had gained some ground, life would push her 2 steps back. Sarah felt like she was drowning. The pressure was overwhelming. There were nights when she'd stay up late, staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was all worth it. Maybe they were right, she thought. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should just quit while I'm ahead. The self-doubt, the fear of failure, it was consuming her. It felt like the world was closing in, like the dream she had been chasing was slipping away before her very eyes. She thought of giving up more times than she cared to admit. How could she succeed when no one believed in her? But there was one thing that kept her going, the whisper in her heart, that tiny voice that told her to hold on just a little longer. Every time she thought about walking away, she remembered something her grandmother had told her when she was a little girl. You're stronger than you think, Sarah. The world is full of people who quit when things get hard. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is simple. Those who succeed keep going. So, Sarah pushed through. Not because it was easy, but because she chose to. She didn't have all the answers. She didn't have all the resources, but she had determination. Then came the turning point. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't happen in an instant. It came slowly, over time, when Sarah realized something crucial. The failures weren't the problem. The fear of failing was. She had spent so much time avoiding failure, but she realized that failure wasn't the end. It was part of the process. She had to fail in order to learn, to grow, to become stronger. One night, after another tough day of setbacks, Sarah sat at her desk, head in her hands, feeling like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. She looked at her reflection in the window, tired, frustrated, but still hopeful. And that's when it hit her. The only way out was through. The only way to succeed was to embrace failure as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. That night, Sarah made a decision that changed everything. She stopped seeing failure as something to fear and started seeing it as a tool for growth. She realized that the real battle wasn't against the world. It wasn't against anyone else. It was against her own doubts, her own insecurities, her own fear of being inadequate. The battle was you versus you. The next few months weren't easy. There were still obstacles. There were still moments when Sarah wanted to give up. But now, when those moments came, she didn't see them as defeat. She saw them as challenges to overcome, as opportunities to become better, stronger, and more resilient. Slowly but surely, things began to change. Her business started to grow. She got a few clients who believed in her. And as she worked harder, those clients turned into long-term partnerships. The successes started to outnumber the failures. Years later, Sarah stood on the stage of an industry conference, speaking to a room full of people about her journey. As she looked out over the crowd, she realized something powerful. She had won her battle, not by becoming the most successful or the most popular, but by becoming the person who refused to quit. She wasn't just speaking about success. She was speaking about resilience, about believing in yourself, even when everything else seems to tell you to quit. Sarah's story wasn't one of perfection, but it was one of persistence. And that's the key, the thing that can make all the difference. Every single person who's ever succeeded, whether in business, sports, or life, has faced the same battle. The battle is always against yourself. It's against the fear, the doubts, and the insecurities that try to hold you back. But the moment you choose to push through, no matter how hard it gets, you take the first step towards victory. Sarah's story is not just her story. It could be yours. It could be anyone's. You may have moments of doubt, moments when you feel like you'll never make it. But remember, it's not the world that's stopping you. It's the limits you've set in your mind. The moment you choose to believe in yourself, the moment you decide to keep going despite the odds, is the moment your life starts to change. So ask yourself, what battle are you fighting right now? And are you ready to win it? Because in the end, it's all about you versus you. And you have the power to decide who wins.